I'm about to show you my actual IUL policy, real number, real illustrations. As you can see right here, I use Allianz Life. It's one of my 3 brokers that I use. So here you can see this is what I have available for me to borrow now, the cash value. This is the accumulated value. That means that is how much I have growing for me. So if the stock market index grow, that's how much money is growing with the index, and this is how much I have access to borrow against. So it started in September 5th last year, and the total combined benefit is 1.1 million. So this is my wife and kids are the beneficiary, and I have allocated my money into 2 index, 50% and 50%. So for this index, whatever the index is doing, I get 190% of that, and I get 180%, 5% of that, the other index. I always get a bonus. This is of just year 1. I get a plus 1 more percent of whatever from the rate is. So if I get 7, then I add 1% to it, so that'll be 8. And as of right now, I'm not gaining anything because the stock market has been going down a little bit. So that is my policy, and let me show you my actual policy illustration. All right. So you see 1.1 death benefit, and the maximum that I can put in basically is around 79,000, a little bit more than that, but not much more. That's the maximum amount I can put in for this policy per year. So my plan is, you see the first year, this is the death benefit. We are interested in the current scenario. So the current value, the cash value in my policy, right, that's 17,000 that I have right now, and the cash value is what I can borrow against. That's what I have access to. And then this is the death benefit. If something happened to me, if I pass away, then that's what my kids and my wife gonna get. So the plan is for the first 3 years, I'm gonna put in $79,000 per year. And as you can see, the first year I'm gonna have 72,000 available for me to use, right? My actual value, it's 76. So you probably wonder, why is there a difference? With the insurance, right, they have what they call a surrender value. That means they keep some of that value. So if you were to cancel your policy, all you get is 72,000 back instead of 76. And that surrender value will fall off around year 10, So that's how it works. The first few years, they have to keep that money because the insurance company is taking a lot of risk. Even though I'm paying in 79,000, but then the death benefit is 1.1 million. So if something happens to me in the first few years, they have to pay out a lot. So basically, the insurance company, they are losing money first few years. So that's why they have that surrender value. But this one is pretty small. It's not that big, right? It's a couple thousand. You can buy a rider to remove that. So you have to pay a little bit more to remove that. So you have full access to your money. But this is a long game for me. So I didn't feel the need. There's only a couple $1,000s, not that much. The first 3 years I put in, and as you can see, right, after year 3, that's when things get exciting, right? Because I put in basically 240,000, but my cash value is at 250,000. So I'm more than break even already on year 3. So you know what that means, right? Like basically from there on, the fees are basically, you can say, sort of free, because I put in 240,000 and my cash value is 250,000 already, right? So from there on, that's when my the policy actually working really hard for me, overcoming that that initial stage. My policy is very specially designed because you can see on year 3 I am positive already. If you look at most of the policy, you will be break even at like year 5 to year 7. It's just basically based on the design. That's why if you're gonna get one, you have to find a good agent. That's why you also see like a lot of people calling IUL a scam and like all the stuff. That's mostly because their policy was wrongly designed. The agent designed it wrong, or they designed it for the agent's benefit. Because how the IUL works is that if the policy designed for cash value, then the commission is small. If the agent want to have more commission, then they're designed for death benefits, so that they put a very high death benefits. I mean, most of the fees go to the death benefit, which go to their commission, and less are going to your cash value. So mine, I designed it so that the maximum amount goes to my cash value. So that's why you see like on the 3rd year, it's already positive. So that's why. So let's move on. And then on the 4th year, this is what I call my savvy flow system. So I put in same thing, 79,000. So I want to max it out every single year, 79,000. But then I'm taking out 60,000. So I'm only putting in basically 19,000. And I go for 10 years. I guess 11. It seems like okay at 53. The total that I put in is around 860,000, but then I'm taking out 480. So I'm only putting in there around 389,000. Okay, so that's kind of the total that I put in for the 7 year. At 53, what I have, let me see. So I have 1.2 million growing for me. I can access 656,000, and my death benefit is 1.6 million. Okay, so at 54, I will take out 73,000 retirement income, cash, tax-free. And I'm doing that until I am 91. So I put in around 389,000, and then I take out the retirement, which is 3.2 here, but then we have to subtract the 480,000 above. That's what I take out before retirement, 2.7-ish million. So I'm putting in 389,000, and then I use the retirement for 2.7 million, right? And then at 91, if I pass away, my kids and my wife still inherit 2 million tax-free straight to them. No tax, nothing. And at that time, I still have around 1 million cash value that I can, use, borrow, do whatever. But if I pass away at 91, I still have 2 million to pass on to my kids. That is pretty cool. I mean, don't you think? So you retire, right? 73,000, not bad, right? No tax, right? That's straight 73,000 for what? 54 to 91, right? 20-something year. And then when you die, you still leave 2.2 million for your kids. That's pretty cool, right? Yeah, that's why I love IUL. That's why I use IUL as my financial foundation to build on top. So I have that big foundation, and if everything just turn out bad, I still have that, and my family is gonna be protected. You're probably wondering, so what happened to the loan that you borrow? Do you have to pay it back? So the answer is you can pay it back, but you don't have to. So how the IUL loan work is that each time you take out a loan, it just subtracted from the death benefit. So to borrow 60,000, it's just gonna subtract from that. So your death benefit is gonna go down. This right here is projected to grow at 6.65. That's not guaranteed. That's just the projected. When I borrow money, the loan is at 5.0, and my cash value is growing at 6.65%. So I'm getting a spread for borrowing money. Let that sink in for a second. I'm getting a spread for using the loan. As you can see right here, when I borrow the money, my cash value still grow at the full amount. It's like you have never touched it. Our cash value, right, it still keep growing at full speed as I am taking a loan out against it. See, I use 60,000 every year, and then later I'm using 73,000 every year. My value keep growing like I have never touched it. That is pretty cool in my book. So now this is projected to grow at 6.65, right? So, and at the beginning, I show you that I have allocated to two of the index. So here's the two index, this one and this one. So this two index, right? As you can see, one of the best feature about IUL is that, like, if the market is negative, you just don't gain anything. You don't lose any money and you don't gain any money. So this index, right, is I think it's growing at 190%. So if the index doing at like 5%, you get 9% something. So this is real data, and as you can see right here, for the last 10-year average, real data is index is warn you at 9%, and I usually go with the longest data, right, which is 9%. So I only projected 6.65%, but the actual for the last 20 years, right, is at 9%. So my cash value is going to be way better if that happens. I mean, I can't predict the future, but this is all I can base it on, right? And the other index, right, this one is a little new, so we only have 10 years of data, and it's around 9%. That is pretty crazy, right? If you think about it, right? I used the loan for 5%, but my money is compounding at 9%. So that is pretty crazy. So recap on what my IUL does for me, right? It's my kids' college fund. Right? So because like a lot of people worry, we are like the middle class, we have to pay for our kids' college. Basically, you can't really get loans for them. I know my brother-in-law, his daughter couldn't get any loan, and I have 4 kids, so I have to plan properly. So my IUL will be used to fund my kids' college. It serves as my emergency fund. So if something happens, I pull it out anytime I want. As a protection, something happened to me, my family will be okay. It serves as my bank, like the infinite banking concept, where I just use the money from my policy anytime I want for any investment, for anything. Let's say I take it out to buy a rental property or something, and if I pull the cash back, I can put it back into my policy and use it again. So we're just reusing it without needing to go to a bank to borrow money in card. 48 to 72 hours later, the money is in the bank for you. As a hedging strategy, where if the market crash, which it does once every few years, my IUL would not lose any money like I show you, but then I can pull out the money from there and go buy stocks that I like, stock that's long-term cheaper. So that's my hedging strategy, and it serves as a retirement income for me. 73,000 for the rest of my life. That is my actual IUL policy, real number, real illustrations. So follow along if you want to see how this policy turns out. I will at least show an update once a year.